Good morning again, and today, as I told, we are going to discuss, start module number 5. And in module 5, we will particularly talk about constraint problem, the optimization problem, which are having certain constraint. That is, they are having certain limitations. Okay. In the previous module, you have seen problems where no constraint was applied. Okay, the problems which we have solved, these problems were unconstrained problems, right? So, but I remember in module 1 and 2 we have discussed, we have introduced constraint problem. So as of now, I understand that you are aware about the what are the constraint problem and what are the unconstrained problem. Okay. Also, by the name, it is quite easy to understand the problems which are subjected to certain constraint. They are called a constraint problem, and the problem which do not have any constraint, these problems are called unconstrained problem. So the in module 4 we have discussed uh, all problem which are unconstrained problem, and in today's session we are going to talk about how to get solution of constraint problem. Okay, so in your syllabus particularly two things are mentioned. One is your Kuhn-Tucker conditions, and another one is transformation method. So in today's class, we will try to cover your Kuhn-Tucker condition, and maybe we will take one or two classes on transformational methods, and after that we will close this module. So this module will be hardly for 3-4 lecture. It will be completed, and later on we will move to the module number 6. Okay, so let me start today's discussion, that is solution of constraint optimization problem using your Kuhn-Tucker conditions. Okay, so as I mentioned, these problem will be the problem of optimization problem will be your constraint type problems. Okay, so let us consider, let us see what are these Kuhn-Tucker conditions and how we apply these Kuhn-Tucker conditions to the constraint optimization problem. Okay, so suppose we are having a we always start from the minimization problems. So let us start. We are having a function fx and it is having certain constraint. So these constraints are gjx is less than equal to 0. Suppose these are the constraint. Okay, so this gjx, it means there are several constraint, and j is varying from 1 to p. Okay, so this may be j, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. Okay, and where x, the value of your variables is equal to number of variables is equal to n. So this may be x1, x2, xc. So there may be not only single variable, there may be multiple variable. This number may be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like this. Okay. Then what are the Kuhn-Tucker conditions for these variables? We have to understand from this equation number 1. Okay, so for the minimization of any function which is subjected to certain constraint gjx less than equal to 0, the following conditions should be satisfied. These are the conditions which are given by Kuhn-Tucker. Okay, so what we are trying to see in Kuhn-Tucker condition, let us see. We are taking partial derivative of your function with respect to your variable. Okay, x variables. So these variables may be x1, x2, x3. Okay, and we are taking summation of the term lambda j into partial derivative of your constants with respect to your corresponding variable. Okay, and this summation we are taking from 1 to m. Okay, so we will try to see what is j, what is j, what is m. So m is nothing. M is your, here you can see m is your number of constraint. Here you can see m is nothing but m is your number of constraints. Suppose you are having two constraints, then your j will be equal to your m will be equal to 2. Okay, so this j will be, the j, in that case your j will be j equal to 1 and 2. Suppose there are three constraints, then your m will be 3, and there will be the values of j will be 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and in these conditions, you would see there are three terms g, j. These will be given already, and then there is a term that your lambda j is less than equal to 0. Okay, so based on the given conditions, we need to calculate the value of lambda j, and the another condition is lambda j into gj is equal to 0. So these four conditions which are given in the single equation, that is equation number 1, must be satisfied in order to calculate the in order to get the optimum value for a constraint problem. Okay, so let us see more what we need to be careful about while applying the Kuhn-Tucker conditions. Okay, so in the minimization problem, because this was the case of minimization problem, the constraint may be in the form of gjx is less than equal to 0, then your lambda j, the value of lambda should be non-positive. Okay, so 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 this value in the case of your minimization problem, so this lambda j have to be non-positive, and in the case of maximization problems, we need to change the sign. So therefore, the constraint, if the constraint is gjx is greater than equal to 0, then the value of lambda j have to be non-negative. Okay, so we will try to see through one example how we are going to apply this Kuhn-Tucker condition in the case of your of constraint problem which are having multiple variable. Okay, so let us move ahead and take one example. Okay, so this is one problem. Function fx equal to x1 square plus 2x2 plus 3x3, and it is subjected to certain constraint. G1 is equal to x1 minus x2 minus 2x3 is less than less than equal to 12. Second constraint, G2 is equal to x1 plus 2x2 minus 3x3 x3 is less than equal to 8. Okay, so here we can see how many constraints are there. There are two constraints. So what will be the value of m? M will be 2. Okay, so here from these Kuhn-Tucker conditions, your j values of j will be j equal to 1 comma 2. Okay, how many variables are there? There are three variables, x1, x2 and x3. Okay, so the value of n will be equal to 3. Okay, so your I will be, the value of I will be 1, 2 and 3. Value of j will be 1 and 2, right? So your since the value of j are 1 and 2, so your lambda will vary lambda 1 and lambda 2. and your del xi, how much values it will have? It will have del xi1, del xi2, del xi3. Okay, so let us try to implement these Kuhn-Tucker conditions in this particular problem, and here you will see that in order to satisfy these conditions, uh, your Kuhn-Tucker condition, this will be del f over del xi plus lambda 1 into gradient of partial derivative of g1 with respect to xi plus lambda 2 partial derivative of g2 with respect to xi. Okay, so if we put, because we know the values of i's are 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so for first equation we will take del f over del x1 plus lambda 1 del g over del x1 plus lambda 2 into del g2 over del x1. Okay, so let us let us solve it for I equal to 1. So for I equal to 1, this will be del f over del x1. So this is your del f, this is your function fx, and take partial derivative of this function with respect to x1. So if you take partial derivative of this function with respect to x1, this term will be 2x1. This will be 2x1, and all these remaining term will be 0, because we are taking partial derivative with respect to x1. Okay, so this is 2x1, then lambda 1 into partial derivative of g1 with respect to x1. Okay, so if we take the partial derivative of g1, that is g1 equal to x1 minus x2 minus 2x3. Okay, this is the constant, so take the partial derivative with respect to x1, so this will be your 1, right? So this is your lambda 1 into 1. So this equation we have these two terms we have calculated. Then calculate the third term, that is lambda 2 into partial derivative of g2 with respect to x1. Okay, so partial derivative of g2 with respect to x1, this will be again equal to 1. Okay, so this way we are getting the equation number 2, which is 2x1 plus lambda 1 plus lambda 2 equal to 0. Okay, similarly for I equal to 2, this we have calculated for I equal to 1. Now you need to calculate for I equal to 2. So if you repeat this process for I equal to 2, for I equal to 2, what you will do, you will take partial derivative of your given function with respect to x2, and similarly plus lambda 1 into partial derivative of your g1 with respect to x2 plus lambda 2 into partial derivative of g2 with respect to x2. So if you solve it, this will end up with 4x2 minus lambda 1 plus 2 lambda 2 equal to 0. I hope all of you are able to understand how we have calculated equation number 2 and 3. Similarly, for I equal to 3, we will calculate the term partial derivative of function with respect to x3 plus lambda 1 into partial derivative of g1 with respect to x3 plus lambda 2 into partial derivative of g2 with respect to x3. Okay, and this will end up with this equation number 4. So you have got 3 equations, okay, 2, 3 and 4. Then this was the first condition in your Kuhn-Tucker conditions. Then we have another term, that is lambda j into gj equal to 0. So your j how much values j is having? J is having 1 comma 2. There are 2 values because m is equal to 2. Okay, so this will be lambda 1 into g1 equal to 0. So this G1 will be G1 will be x1 minus x2 minus 2x3 minus 12 equal to 0. This is your G1, right? Lambda 2 into x1 plus 2x2 minus 3x3 minus 8 equal to 0. So these are the equation number 5 and 6. Then third condition, that is your Gj is less than equal to 0. So this is your x1 minus x2 minus 2x3 minus 12 is less than equal to 0. Similarly, you have rewritten your constraint in equation in the form of equation 7 and 8. Then your fourth condition in Kuhn-Tucker condition is your lambda j is less than equal to 0. So how many values of lambda? There is lambda 1 and lambda 2. So we can say that lambda 1 is greater than equal to 0 and lambda 2 is greater than equal to 0. So now try to see in equation number 5. Try to see in equation number 5. We can see that these are the multiplication terms. So either of these two, that is lambda 1 or x1 minus x2 minus 2x3 minus 12, either one of these should be equal to 0. So since either one of these should be equal to 0, so we will check the cases, that is either lambda 1 is equal to 0 or minus or x1 minus x2 plus 2x3 minus 12 is equal to 0. Okay, so let us take first case, that is lambda 1 equal to 0. If you put lambda 1 equal to 0 in equation number 2, 3 and 4, here if you put lambda 1 equal to 0, so and if you solve these three equations, if you put lambda 1 equal to 0 and you solve these equations, you can get the value of x1, x2 and x3 in terms of lambda 2. Okay, so because here you can see if you put the value of lambda 1 equal to 0, you can get the value of x1 with in terms of lambda 2. So x1 will be lambda 2 minus lambda 2 by 2. Similarly, your x2 will be minus lambda 2 by 2, and you can also calculate x3. X3 will be your lambda 2 by 2, right? So your x1 and x2, these are both of them are having same value, that is x1 equal to x2 equal to minus lambda 2 by 2, and your x3 will be lambda 2 by 2. So from this you put these values in equation number 6. That is, you have got the value of x1, x2, x3 in terms of lambda 2, and here is only lambda 2. So you can you will have only the term that is lambda 2 in this particular equation. Okay, so here you can see from equation number 6, it is ending up with lambda 2 square plus 8 lambda 2 is equal to 0. Okay, and from this equation we will get two values of lambda 2. So one is lambda 2 equal to 0 and another is minus 8. Okay, so let us try to see, after we have got these values of lambda 2, two values, that is lambda 0 or minus 8. Go to the condition number D, that is Kuhn-Tucker condition number 4. Lambda j should be greater than equal to 0, or you can directly come to the equation number 8. Your lambda 2 should be greater than equal to 0. Okay, so out of these two values, which value is satisfying the your Kuhn-Tucker condition? Your 0 value is satisfying your Kuhn-Tucker condition. Okay, so we will eliminate your minus 8 value and we will take this value of lambda 2 as your correct value of lambda 2. Okay, now put these values of lambda 2 in because we have got the values of x1, x2 and x3, and we have got x1, x2 and x3 in terms of lambda 2. Okay, so if you put these values, that is lambda 2 equal to 0, so x1, x2 will be equal to 0. Similarly, your value of x3 will be equal to 0. Okay, so we can say according to the case 1, that is when we are considering the value lambda 1 equal to 0, using your Kuhn-Tucker condition, you are able to get your optimum point at x1, x2, x3, and these are 0, 0, 0 subjected to the given constraint, these two constraints g1 and g2. Okay, so once you have got these values of x1 and x2 and x3, that is values of variable, you can put these values in equation number 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, in order to see whether these are satisfying all these equations or not. Okay, so if we put these values, these are all satisfying all the equations from 6 to 10. Okay, 6 to 10, right? Okay, so we can say this is the optimum solution of your given problem subjected to your given problem subjected to the given constraint using your Kuhn-Tucker conditions. Okay, this was the case 1 when we took lambda 1 equal to 0, and luckily we were able to get the optimum value. Now let us try to figure out using the case 2, that is x1 minus x2 plus minus 2x3 minus 12 equal to 0. This is your second case, and if you repeat the same process, that is for case 2, we have x1 minus 2x2 minus 2x3 minus 12 equal to 0. Again, you put these values of you have got one additional equation, so you put this value in your equation number 2, 3 and 4, and if you solve this equation, you will get the term 17 lambda 1 plus 12 lambda 2 equal to minus 144. Okay, so if you try to see when you are getting this value in the case 2, minus 17 plus lambda 1 plus 12 lambda 2 equal to minus 144. So because this is the negative value, and you know in your Kuhn-Tucker condition number 4, you can see either of these values is non-negative. Okay, so sorry, either of these values is not negative. Okay, so and even lambda 1 is positive and lambda 2 is positive, and these are being multiplied by some positive value, so summation of these cannot be negative. Okay, so it means that the case 2 is not applicable as per the according to your Kuhn-Tucker conditions, because Kuhn-Tucker conditions are not satisfied in the case 2. Okay, so we can say that the optimal solution which we got through case number 1 is your final solution for your given problem. Okay, I hope I have tried to explain this Kuhn-Tucker condition using one of the simplest example which I could find. Okay, if there are any query, you can ask students. Any doubt in the application of these Kuhn-Tucker conditions, you can ask. Okay, so if there is no doubt, then I have a sample problem for all of you which you can try. I have not given the step-by-step solution. Instead of it, I have given this is your problem, that minimize the function fx. You are having around 20-25 minutes in this lecture, so you can practice this problem, that whether you are able to solve it or not, or if you find any difficulty in applying your Kuhn-Tucker condition, you can also discuss over telephone also. Okay, so this is the practice problem for today's session. Minimize f(x) equal to x1 square plus 2x2 square plus 60x1 subjected to the constraint. Again, there are two constraints, and there are only two variables, that is x1 and x2. So this is more simple as compared to the problem discussed. Okay, so these are the two constraints. G1 equal to x1 minus 80 is greater than equal to 0, and another constraint G2 equal to x1 plus x2 minus 120 is greater than equal to 0. You need to solve this problem using your Kuhn-Tucker conditions. I have the solution for this problem is x1 equal to 80 and x2 equal to 40. Okay, this is the answer, but you are supposed to calculate the optimum solution using your Kuhn-Tucker conditions. I hope some of you will try in the remaining time. Okay, from my side, I will stop here. If there is any query, you can ask.